Welcome to a podcast of total terror. Night of the Nerdy Laser.
All right, we are smack dab in the second week of October, our favorite month here on Night of the Nerdy Laser, and we are continuing our Rec Conquest. We are, of course, talking about the Spanish found footage movie Rec 2 from 2009, just 2 years after the first one, and coincidentally, this movie rolls right from the end of part 1. I am your host, Richard. I don't like mice, Yule.
So I've heard, and I'm Jeff Lau.
Yes, Jeff. I don't know how you didn't know this, but rats are not my friend.
Well, Disney would have made you like them.
Nuh-uh. Ratatouille? Yeah. You know where I think it stems from, too? Have you ever seen the movie Super with it was called The Super with Joe Pesci?
I don't think I've seen that one.
From the 90s. I mean, it's a great movie. I watched it a lot. But, there's the same old kind of story for a comedy back then. There's a couple movies like this where the rich guy that owns a broken down building has to spend 30 days there because he won't fix anything. And so he wakes up one night and there's this gigantic cat-like rat that's staring at him and growls at him.
Interesting.
And I think it all started there.
Well, that happens, and that's okay.
All right. Show and tell time here on the podcast. We appreciate everybody for watching or listening. If you want show and tell, you have to follow Night of the Nerdy Laser on YouTube. If you want hear and tell, well, you're in the right spot right here on the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise they're just getting tell.
I mean, you can still find out what we're collecting or what we have collected or whatever we want to show off. It's like a school. You take your favorite thing, you know. A few weeks ago on our Instagram, as we're going through these comics, you know, I found a comic that I forgot how much I loved it back in the day. Okay. I say back in the day, it was like 2016 or so. But DC Comics tried to do this like alternate timeline thing. Where they did like Wacky Raceland, and it was like Wacky Races, but it was Mad Max style.
Oh, okay.
And then they did the Flintstones, but that one was like a real it was like a political take on it, I think, if I remember right. I didn't read it, but I heard a lot about it. Heard it was really good.
Okay.
What else did they do? I can't remember, but my favorite thing, and it lived for quite a while. It wasn't like a one-hit wonder type thing. Scooby Apocalypse.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Scooby Apocalypse. It's what you think it is. It's Scooby-Doo and the Apocalypse. I can't remember everything. Like I don't think they didn't all know each other at the beginning. I think how it started off was Scoob was a lab experiment dog.
Oh.
And he has some sort of like goggle power. And I think Shaggy worked there.
Shaggy had a job?
And Thelma was the boss. I think. I could be way off, but I'm pretty sure.
I hope you're way off.
Huh?
I hope you're way off.
Why? No. Here's a scene where Velma comes out of the ground and Fred says she's a mole person. Fred and Daphne know each other. I think, much like the Wreck movies, I think Daphne is some sort of like
TV host.
reporter, and Fred's a cameraman.
All right. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, the art's not bad. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun storyline. It's back, when Walking Dead was super popular and everything. So, I mean, it's kind of nichey, but like, I mean, I really like it. I think it's really good. I brought a few episodes or a few issues up, but I'll show the second one here.
Did they do a trade for it?
Yeah, I think there's a few trades. I mean, the comic ran for 3 years. It's not like it just like a one and done type thing. It had 30. I said it on the thing. 30, like 34, 37 issues, something like that.
Oh, okay. So way more than I thought.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, now I think it was the most successful thing that came out of all those books.
Yeah.
But I highly suggest reading them. They're fun. I remember it was one of the comics that I was just waiting for every month. So that's my show and tell. I also have one other thing. I've been going through some stuff, and like I've said, probably going to sell some of these, maybe. But these are some of the more expensive ones, or at least that's what eBay tells me. So you never know. But for a while, I got hooked on these mega mini gross mini. Gross minis, I think they're called.
Yeah.
They're part of that Zuru where they like do different things. They come in a ball and there's like 5 things in it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 here to show off. This one apparently is pretty popular, so he's going to be sold eventually. We've got a miniature Funko Pop of poop called Turdy.
Of course we do.
And he's got a toilet paper attached to him. But I mean, it's a Funko Pop. Like it's a real, like you can open it and take it out.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Series 2 just come out, and they have one. I think he's called. So this one's called Fardo Poop. So instead of Funko Pop,
yeah.
And they have another turd thing in the series 2.
Are these Garbage Pail Kids creators making these?
Yeah. And here's one. We got Star Barf Coffee.
Did I send you a bunch of those stupid stickers that were like gray poop on and like
maybe
macaroni and puke and stuff like that? Those are what these remind me of.
Yeah. We've got Webster's free range tarantula eggs, which they kind of look like alien eggs.
Little bit, yeah.
And they're covered in like green stuff. But there's a giant tarantula on it. And then this one's apparently fairly expensive. When I say expensive, this little stupid thing and the Fardo Pop, I mean, on eBay, some of them have sold for like $30.
People have too much money.
We've got McMaggots.
Of course we do.
Their signature McMaggot burger. But Jeff, the reason this one is $30 is it's moldy.
Oh, you have a Chase.
I have another one that's not moldy.
So you got like a Chase figure.
So I have way too many of those fucking things. I don't need them. I need to sell them, but I'm trying to figure out just pricing on them because it's a little daunting going on eBay.
It can be. You want to look at the thing, you get results from like 20 things that have nothing to do with it.
Comics are like, comics are a nightmare because of all the covers. All the variant covers now, just a nightmare. So yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. So I do have comic related show and tell. It is this right here, a Junji Ito comic book, and I think this is his most recent one. I don't know. I think most of his.
Wait, is this a manga or a comic?
It's both, I guess. Technically.
I mean, what way am I reading this? Left to right or right to left?
So the camera, everything's flipped, but you start on the right to left. So manga. But yeah, it's one of Junji Ito's. He makes some creepy stuff. I mean, you could see little creepy people on there, stuff like that. So I mean, that'll be an interesting read. I was telling you, before we recorded that he has a show that was at the time of this recording is premiering. So it might have been out a couple episodes before that, but yeah, I want to give that a shot because I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what they do with that. But yeah, that's that, I guess. And then my other piece here, and I think I showed you and Corey this, but I didn't show and tell it. It was another pin. So this one was through Fright Rags, and that's Kevin Bacon getting the arrow through the neck. It's kind of hard to tell with the camera, but it's got the arrow poking out there. It was actually because I think they used to always sell their pins too with everything, but I think they must have stopped doing pins. I feel like enamel pins have kind of fallen out of favor with everybody.
I mean, for FrankenCon, for sure, nobody cares about enamel pins.
I have one up there somewhere. But yeah, so what they did, they turned them into like mystery pins, and I think it was like $5. So I got this one, and I got Halloween 45th anniversary pin. So that was kind of cool to get a Halloween one.
I think I'm not sure if Fright Rags did it. I think so, but I have a leprechaun head that is like ginormous.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a leprechaun, and he's got a pot of gold and stuff.
Yeah, because I think Cavity Colors did enamel pins too. I know I have a Slappy of him, and then I'm pretty sure Terror Threads have some. It's like all the shirt companies got into it because they saw how good the enamel pin companies were doing, and then it all kind of died down.
So I'll say this, like, I mean, if you're going to do a design, like for a shirt, like for us, like for FrankenCon, FrankenConTN.com, if you're not aware, it's a horror convention, me and Spooky Dudes, t-shirt plug here, Corey put on. I mean, for sure, like we have the design made and we can put it on the t-shirt, but we can also put it on a pin. And,
right.
I mean, I have a guy that does super cheap pins and some of the best quality work you'll ever find. So if I can find this guy, I'm sure these companies can make, and I only buy 100 at a time.
Right.
So, I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, even if you kind of have to sit on them and then do a mystery thing, I mean, for a big company or for, these t-shirt companies that have traffic all the time, you might as well, because you're going to have sales.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense on their part for sure. And I hope enamel pins don't fade out. I do like them. Sometimes, I like to support some of the artists and stuff out there, and spending, $12 or $13 is better than like a $44 t-shirt.
Yeah, no, it's true. All right. Well, speaking of sales, it's time we talk about our favorite person.
Speak for yourself. Jason down at the dungeon.
Jeff's mortal wrestling enemy. Jason down at the dungeon right here in the small town where it's more the Maryville.
There you go. Good.
No, Jeff. I'm going to get fucking pissed off if I talk about this. That is our town slogan.
Oh, jeez.
The more the Maryville. Mary, MERRYVI, whatever. And then all through downtown, they put these god awful fucking Easter egg looking signs all through this fucking town.
Yes.
It's fucking awful. But if you are in the area, support Jason down at the dungeon, who has all of the physical media. All of it. We're talking vinyl records. We're talking video games. We're talking laser discs. We're talking Blu-ray, 4K, DVD, horror VHS tapes that you're not going to find anywhere else. He's even got some button pins, not those cool enamel pins that you like, Jeff, but some of those button pins. But he also has all the boutique labels that you love, like TerrorVision, Vinegar Syndrome, Visual Vengeance, and more. So if you're in Maryville, don't go to downtown. You will basically take a left or a right, depending on what way you're coming. You'll hit East Broadway. At the roundabout, you'll see Southland Books and Cafe. You'll go around the building, and the dungeon is right there. So it's a really cool place. I like to visit there often. If you're not in the area, don't worry. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook at Southland_Dungeon. So we appreciate Jason, or I do. I can't speak for Jeff.
Thank you.
And that wrestling match will be on pay-per-view soon. I expect somebody to go off the top of the cage.
Well, yeah. I mean, if Mike Tyson and what's-his-face could get a Netflix 9-figure deal.
Didn't happen, though.
Not yet. But even at the time of this record, or even when this episode airs, it still won't have happened. But if they could get 9 figures from doing that, somebody could kick me and Jason couple $100 to fight each other on pay-per-view.
I mean, if it's only a couple $100, I'll save up.
Cool, it'll be worth it.
All right, so we're on this journey of life called Wreck, and we really like the first one, Jeff, and the second one is just as fucking good.
Yeah.
So we'll do like we did last episode, and going forward, it's basically how we're going to do it. So, we'll talk about the movie and as spoiler free as possible. Then we'll go into spoiler territory where you can hang out with us or not. But we hope you took our advice and watched these movies, and now you can just hang out. So Rec 2 picks up exactly where the last one ends.
Yes.
But this time we're following this one's hard for spoilers because I think the first 45 minutes is different from the last 45 minutes. It kind of feels like 2 movies.
Sort of because of the story, how it kind of
how the story's unfolding. So I don't necessarily want to talk about the last 45 minutes in a way. I think that's too much spoiler stuff. But, it's the same apartment building, and we're following a team of SWAT.
Correct.
And
a doctor.
The Minister of Health. Ministry of Health.
Uh-huh. Quote unquote, doctor.
So police... Spoilers aren't for later. So we get all this stuff on like a body cam. Right, like or helmet cam. I don't really know where it is, but it's on the body of the SWAT team.
Yeah.
I really, really like this SWAT team. I really like the characters, and I really like the Ministry of Health guy with the SWAT team. And so they're basically just going in there. We get them from the outside. We get them riding in from the outside, and we get to see a little bit of the chaos that's happening outside, and then they go in, and basically we start at the bottom again. We start at the bottom of the apartment building, and they're working their way up, trying to. I guess they're going with the Ministry of Health guy to find something because they are looking for something.
Correct. So I think all they say in between, just some like dialogue between each other, is something like 45 minutes has passed since they last had contact with the building. That kind of, like we say, this picks up right where the first one left off. So you assume like 45 minutes is what we got in the first movie after they kind of stopped talking to people.
Yeah.
So then we get this. This is right where it picks up. One of my absolute favorite things in this, the little girl and the mom in the first one, the husband is on the outside of the building, like she says. Yeah, getting the medicine, just like they said. So you get that little tidbit.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler. It happens at the very beginning, and the guy's trying to get through, and they're like, "No, you can't go in there." He's like, "But I got medicine for my little girl, and my wife's in there."
And you're like, "Hey!" As a viewer, you're like, "Hey, there he is."
Like, no, they're both dead. Sorry. Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about this one without spoilers in a way, except that we get, the SWAT team thing for about 45 minutes. I looked at my watch there, and I'll just say the second 45 minutes kind of picks up from a different point of view.
Correct. But I mean, what we can say about this, like overall, is like it picks up right after the first one. It feels very much, in a sense, like the first one. I mean, we get action pretty much nonstop all the way through. We get answers to the story as kind of like, what's going on? How did the person from the first one, like what's going on with them, like the people from the first one? We get, more of the same, and it's a little bit more actiony because of the SWAT.
A lot more.
Yeah. So we get a little bit more. It's not so much a survival thing. It's it's just like Resident Evil 2, where, you get to play as Chris or Claire. But then if you beat the game, you could play as like the SWAT team member as like a special feature, or a block of tofu in the for some reason in Resident Evil. But that kind of reminds me of this, because you get different points of view, and then you get to the same like ending of the story essentially. Which is cool. And then you get like an expansion of the story in this movie as well. So I like that a lot, because any questions you might have had, I think they do a good job answering them.
Oh, I think they do. I'll say this. I mean, and it's not really a spoiler. I mean, it is a scene, but there's a scene where they go up into the like ceiling, and it's like almost like an air duct kind of thing. I love that scene. It freaks me the hell out. That's when I text you and I said that freaked me out.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good movie. I think if you watch both of them back to back, the pacing is really good for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's like, watch two really, really good movies. These two, Rec 1 and 2, instead of like one of the things on Netflix or stuff like that. Some of those movies are like 2 hours, 45 minutes. And they're usually most of the time, they're not even that great. They're just these long movies because Netflix will give people like, oh, okay, here's $100 million, make as long a movie as you want. You know what I mean? But you watch two really good movies that were in like the prime years of horror, most recent, like prime of horror, like surging at the time, like 2007, 2012, like up to that, we got some really good stuff. And this just expands on that. Like, we can't say too much more about the director. We kind of covered that all in the first one, but in the timeline of horror in general at that point in time, like these are like top shelf horror movies for that time.
I for sure agree with that. So with that being said, if you're haven't watched this and you want to, this will probably be the end of your journey here on the podcast tonight. So just remember to follow us at Night of the Nerdy Laser on all the socials. Please like and subscribe us on YouTube. Remember to follow us there so you can see all the cool video we do. And thanks for listening. And we'll go into spoilers now. So yeah, there's a few scenes I love. So basically, one of the journeys to this movie is you find out that the Ministry of Health is actually an actual priest. He's looking for a vial of blood from the original little girl.
Right.
And that scene I was talking about, I thought it was cool. So they go into the ceiling, and the one dude's crawling, and you see this gate, and he goes through the gate, and then he hears like a compressor, and it's a little freezer up there, which makes perfect sense. Like that you would hide stuff up there, like, and there's a vial of blood up there. But then, dude, this like thing comes running out of, and he's like backing up, and he slams that gate, and it's like a little kid, and
that's the girl, right? The little girl.
Is it the little girl? Okay.
Yeah, that's the little
I'll
girl.
say this about this movie. I got confused sometimes with the people, and I don't know why.
No,
that's just me.
I can see that. I've seen this one so much, so I kind of have an idea. But I mean, we still get like the older man with the mustache from the first one, because you see him at some point as like a zombie, and he's in his little vest still.
Yeah.
The Asian neighbor guy, he's in there at some point. I think you see him a little bit, but you don't get as much as the zombie stuff, because you kind of get either you get an idea they kind of went up and hid in the attic or something like that, or got trapped in rooms or something like that.
I mean, they're just machine gunning shit, and
like I said, the dad. Let's talk about that scene. The dad with the medicine shows up, and they just shoot him to death because he sneaks in. Well, we said at the 45-minute, like halfway mark, we get a POV shift, pretty much. Not like what we get in 3, but like who we're with at that point. So we find out that some other kids and like was it a fireman that was looking for his crew, and the dad all kind of get in through an underground place that they hadn't sealed off yet. When they do go through that sealed off, or through that entrance, the authorities follow them and seal that off too, so that none of the infected people could get out anyway. But so they all get in there. We get that other point of view, and that's the cool part, how it transitions, because the dad gets shot by the SWAT team because they think he's one of the infected people.
Yeah,
but really he's not. And then we get the part where the kids are looking up, and then it kind of transition. The SWAT's looking down, and they see the kids, and that's where we kind of get that transition of who we're following. And I thought that was a really cool idea and like concept that they do that. Then our parties eventually kind of mashed together, and that helps like spur the story along to give us more of what's happened. The priest really gets into priesting against like some of the demons. The scene with the blood vial where they're testing it, and it like lights on, it like bubbles.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Really cool. And it like bubbles and fizzes and all that stuff like that. That's pretty awesome. And
I want to mention, before we get to like the biggest spoiler of the movie, I want to mention the scene where they're walking into this room and the guy gets shot in the ear.
Oh yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose. So they're shooting basically anybody that's alive in the building. And so all the people are like crouching and running, and just bullets are like flying, not like crazy, not like a machine gun, but like a sniper. Like snipers are trying to shoot them. And I just thought that was a really, really solid scene. And then we get the return of Angela. Yeah,
which was a nice little twist, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know. I mean, I don't know if I think I just knew that she was in it at some point. I don't know about the trailers, what they showed or anything, but maybe I listened to something. I'm sure I did. But I mean, for some reason, I knew she was in it. I mean, we don't know what happened to her. She gets, just dragged away. And then
Well,
so
you
we
see
find her.
everybody else, so you assume she's kind of going to be there at some point.
Yeah, at some point you just don't know if she's gonna be turned or what.
Right.
And so I thought it was cool how they revealed her as far as she was just standing there holding the camera.
Yeah, that was cool.
The sister, the kids, when the boy gets bit and then he turns, I mean, I think that's a very terrifying scene.
Yeah, that's what I was where the priest really gets to priesting. He's like interrogating the demon and stuff, and like he's a
very
vicious demon character. Like some of the stuff he says, yeah, very much like any of the dialogue from The Exorcist. But no, it's a very intense movie. Like, I mean, one's intense, like has you on the edge of your seat, and if it's there's jump scares, yes, but I mean, like just the idea of some of the stuff kind of scary in general. This one's like right up there with it. Plus, throw more guns into the mix. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the very end. It goes. So basically, what happens is you find out that Angela is now possessed.
Right. The weird little girl that started this all. Her demon form transferred like a worm thing into Angela orally.
And you don't have to think about what that looks like because so we get bad Angela for a little bit. You know, they figure out that she turned and she kills the priest. This is the freakiest thing. So this is genius. So they have these radios and they're only by voice.
Yeah.
So like, and they play this throughout the movie. And so every now and then you'll hear them trying to, you know, like somebody will try to use it and it'll say voice not recognized or whatever. And she's telling the priest to tell them to let them out. And he won't do it. And he says he'll never do it. And she basically says you don't have to. And then she just uses his voice.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah.
No, I thought that was a cool idea. I mean, it shows you how much power the demon actually has. And she's playing with him because she wants the priest to let her out of the apartment complex.
Yeah.
But she's like, I don't need you. I just thought it would be fun to mess with you and use you to do my bidding.
No, I mean, I love the portrayal of the demon and like just of what it's doing to this, you know, specifically this apartment building. I'm guessing Apocalypse, goes outside.
Yeah, you'll see.
Don't mess with me like that. So basically, once that happens, because she says she uses the name Oscar, which he's already been taken care of. But he says he's infected, but he's sending a woman out. Yeah. So, but then you think the movie's over, and it's not because it goes back to the end of the first movie.
Right.
And you see her being dragged away. Then you see her like come back and like land in front of the camera. And I'll say this, the night vision stuff in this movie is great.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I love the night vision stuff, but she lands back in front of the camera, and you get the demon over her, basically leech womaning into her mouth.
That's
and then
true.
The demon has been transferred. I will say this: there is another scene I wanted to talk about. There's some really cool scenes in this movie.
There really are, yeah.
But Angela is there. It's where everything's they're like shutting the light off, and then they have the night vision on. But there's one demon thing that is like the way it moves. It's like really quick, and she like shoots its head off. Like it's amazing. It's like really cool scene.
Yeah, and I thought the whole idea of tying in the like angels that had like fallen, or not I guess he says like the fallen angels, where they were forever trapped in darkness. So basically they couldn't see the girl the original possessed girl because she was a demon, a fallen angel, and because they had light on, so the only way to see her was trapped in the darkness. Like, so that's how the two worlds kind of like overlap, and she's able to kind of come in and out of it. But like that, I thought that was just a cool idea and a cool concept in general. So this movie and the first one together like form an awesome movie.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I loved it. I may rewatch both of them again, honestly, at some point if I can find time.
Yeah.
Which according to you, I can't. So
no, you can't.
Yeah, I hope y'all are enjoying this. The next one is Rec 3 Genesis. So if I remember correctly, it's before this, right?
I don't know where it falls exactly in the timeline, but
it takes place at a wedding.
Right.
And so the wedding photographer is the catalyst.
Correct.
And I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think what they do with it is...
I mean, just by that cover, I think you can tell it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm excited to watch it again. Like I said, it's been a few years since I've seen it. So I'll be really happy to watch it.
Yeah, no, should be good.
And then apparently I'm going to dread Apocalypse. So
I don't think you will.
So anyway, yeah, thanks for listening. We really appreciate y'all. We hope you're enjoying the October festivities that we're putting on, and we hope your October is good as well. You can email us what you think about the Rec series or what you're going as Halloween. What are your kids going as? We want to hear that stuff too. So if you're going trick-or-treating, let us know what you dress up as. You can email us at nightofthenerdylaser@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week, like we do this every week. And Jeff, if they are looking for a way to support us, how easy is it?
It's as easy as going on to wherever you listen to podcasts, be that Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hitting the subscribe button. Take 15 more seconds, give the show a rating and a review, and it really helps us to get out there to the masses. Do it for the little guy. I mean, we're putting out free content, multiple episodes a week sometimes for you guys, and all the big guys get all the play.
That's right. So love. Share us with your friends, share us with your enemies. Night of the Nerdy Laser podcast. And until next time, Jeff, what should they do?
They should keep it bloody.
Because somebody has to in this day and age.